my name is Cheryl Perkins, and I'm from a company called Innovation Edge, and we spend a lot of time with leaders like yourself, really helping to demystify strategy, growth, and culture. And that's why I'm so pleased to be here today about building a culture of excellence and engagement. You know, with all that's going on right now and a lot of uncertainty with COVID-19, it's harder and harder to really determine how to maintain and engage our employees. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we call the make or break factors to really gain that attention, make sure that your employees are engaged and you've got the right climate and culture to do what you plan to do. To start with, I'm going to use a model that I call the iceberg model. As you know, an iceberg at the top has a tip, but a lot of the iceberg is down below that tip. In fact, we don't know exactly where it spans or how big it really is. And when I think about climate versus culture, most of the time in organizations, we actually talk about climate as culture. The values, the vision, the metrics, the organizational structure, the business processes, the way we lead. We talk about that as our culture, but it's really the climate that we set. What really we need to talk about and think about is what's below the tip of that iceberg. The shared assumptions, the norms, the unwritten rules, things that are taken for granted. These are both important, climate and culture, and we need to make sure that we're working on both of them in order to maintain engagement of our employees and really create organizations that are thriving. Thriving organizations transform kind of their work environment into a compelling experience. They manage these disruptions. They're balancing today with tomorrow. They're building the workforce for the future and creating competitive advantage. You know, these organizations do not happen by chance. They're deliberately designed. What you design is what you get, and these are intentionally built to thrive. It's a little scary that really only 52% of organizations have committed to help employees thrive at work, and that's from a recent article from Fox Business. So when we think about this, what's the right model to ensure we have the best foundation, the culture, starting at the bottom of this pyramid and moving up? When we ensure that we're having the right climate and culture, we're doing the right people development, we're institutionalized learning, we're leading, we have a very solid development process, and then the right structure and organization to enable, we'll get a thriving organization. Just like we talked about with climate, these top two, structure and organization and development processes, are typically what's most visible in the organization. But I'm telling you that if you want to engage those millennials within your organization, then they need to believe that, again, you're there building capability for them, that they have growth potential, pretty rapid growth potential, and that the culture is there to enable them to connect with others and do what they need to do to fill their own self-worth. So what this is saying with culture is, let's create a challenging work environment, have lots of communication and collaboration, have opportunities for them to be creative, provide them support so that they can get recognized and take risk, and give them the right resources. And that's tools and processes that enable them to do what they need to do. Now, from a culture perspective, we've done a lot to study different organizations, and there's what we call a status quo culture. This is very predictable, seeks stability, high success rate. This type of culture typically avoids surprises, and they measure kind of the level of certainty. They're looking for a lot of data to confirm what they're doing is right. And then we have an innovative culture, and that's unpredictable. It's really focused at higher failure rates. It embraces surprises and change. It's actually, again, measuring how innovative an organization is, and they embrace ambiguity. Now, it's not to say a status quo is right or wrong, or innovation is right or wrong, but I can tell you that based on where millennials are, they're going to want that innovative culture. They want to know that they can experiment, be entrepreneurial. They need to be able to, again, assess needs and drive opportunities, take risk. They're all about creative, open thinking. It's kind of learning to balance the experience you have in the organization with knowledge as well as giving them a chance, again, through diversity and inclusion, to really be part of everything you're trying to do, and allow them to actually be part of establishing those new cultures or subcultures. So when we think about millennials, we kind of define them because of their strong values and their intention to live by them. So if you think about that, millennials are very passionate to do the right thing. And it really begins with I. Focused on building their personal brand and creating value in everything they do. They're engaged in creating a culture of experience, creating disruption, collaboration, and making connections. That's what's critical to them. Now you have an option. You can either embrace that and help them be successful with that and help them evolve your current culture to where they want to take the culture, obviously within certain bounds, but it's really up to you. You have to decide again what you're going to allow them to do. We know that they embrace technology, they believe in empowering others, they want to make impact, and they want to have impact and give back. So how do you take advantage of that? How do you ensure that you're open and transparent and inclusive of their alternate styles and really view the diversity of their thought as an investment and provide flexibility? Now, typically what we've seen, one of the biggest challenges is that these groups of individuals challenge the traditional, what I'll call human capital strategies. They, again, look at succession planning differently than we've looked in the past. So we need to create inventories and track their skills and competencies and interests. We need to try to do a better job at matching what they need with what we need in these alternate organizations where we're generating alternate talent pools. We need to identify the high potentials and high performers, which a lot of you already do today, and we need to grow the bench strength, and we need to be able to reduce paper processing. And I know that's hard, but they really struggle with not having technology to drive a lot of these processes that we have been so used to in the past. I wanted to talk about 9 ways to win with millennials, and this is kind of a summary of the things that really can help advance the culture and engage them towards excellence here. The first begins with what's really important to them. That's the experience. And it's not just in attracting these millennials, but it's also a part of their development within the company. And you really need to find ways to provide enriching experiences. Now, the question is, what does enriching mean to them? What we might categorize as enriching might not be enriching to them. So this is, again, that opportunity to have that open, transparent communication and really find out what they need. What is it that they need to learn? How do we help them, use their curiosity, their self-enrichment to advance their experiences, but also advance their knowledge? Remember, they're very purpose-driven. We should take the time to understand their individual motivations. The other important thing I've seen is those motivations change with time. Remember, they're trying to advance their brand, and as they advance their brand, then what they do and what motivates them to do what they do changes. So it's really important to check in frequently on that. We're investing in allowing them to really ignite innovation, and so we need to know what ignites their passion. What can we do to make sure they're very passionate about what they do? And if they're passionate about it, it becomes all about them and doing what they need to do. It becomes part of their rebranding and where they want to take their brand. We need to find ways to leverage technologies and make those standard processes more flexible and personalized. We need to engage them in that. We need to make sure they feel part of it and really optimize the opportunities to really advance their capabilities, not just their knowledge. The other thing we need to focus on is really helping them build empathy. We have 2 ears for a reason: to listen to customers, listen to coworkers, listen to other leaders. We need to help them understand that it's not just their view, even though their view is important and we value their view, they also need to understand the view of their customers. And the last 2 are really important: the blend and collaborate. When I talk about blend, it's really about maintaining this robust balance between the wisdom that's in the organization and their enthusiasm. So if you think about it, It's blending generations to make sure we're pairing up the right people, those that have the competency and the capabilities based on years of knowledge and experience versus their enthusiasm and their ability to want to learn and capture the experience. How do we couple those two things together and get the right pairs working hand in hand? And that gets to collaboration. We need collaboration on all levels within the organization. We need this talent to collaborate with experienced individuals and executives as they move through their career. So if you, again, can get the right blend and get the right level of collaboration, you're going to be setting up a solid foundation for success. You'll have a more innovative culture, and you'll be able to do what you need to do to advance these individuals. I found a really good resource with Jay Samet. He analyzes kind of existing roles, help you understand like what emotional engagements need. It's just not about the function you perform. It's about that experience and how often, do you need to interact with them, and how well do you need to sell or negotiate in your role. It's all about kind of disrupting yourself, as the book says. And it's really good about kind of identifying and be honest about what the actual situation is with your brand at this time and where you can take your brand and what it's going to take your brand there. So it's really replacing kind of old habits with learning and really learning how to solicit honest feedback. Just to solicit feedback that isn't honest is not going to help you on that journey. So this is just one area that a book that's really impactful, and Jay can help you help them by using these types of resources. So in wrapping up, I'd just like to say is that it is a huge challenge today to get to an innovative culture. And you need to think about the climate and the culture. It's not only what we talk about, but it's what's buried below the tip of that iceberg. And how do we manage that? And we can do it if we take the time to really understand them, if we try to understand millennials and get the right balance between the wisdom in the organization that comes with the age and experience of being in the organization and the enthusiasm of these individuals. How can we chart a path for success together, leveraging technologies in order to do things that really create passion within each of these individuals and engage them in a joint future together? Thank you.